Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with that red gaunt and collapsed neck astrain, and shut eyes underneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must be wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights, ere fitly I could hope to play my part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of the old time sets all to rights. Not it, I fancy, Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold, dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold an arm in mine to fix me to the place that way he used. Alas, one night's disgrace! Out went my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles, then the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago, when knighted first. What honest man should dare, he said, he durst. Good, but the scene shifts far. What hangman hands pin to his breast a parchment, his own bands. Read it, poor traitor, spit upon the cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back, therefore, to my darkening path again. No sound, no sight, as far as I could strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden little river crossed my path, and unexpected as a serpent comes. No sluggish tide congenial to the glooms. This, as it frothed by, might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddy bespate with flakes and spumes, so petty yet so spiteful all along. Low scrubby elders kneeled down over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of mute despair, a suicidal throng. The river which had done them all the wrong, whate'er that was, rolled by deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. Each step or field the spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I when I reached the other bank. Now for a better country, vain presage. Who were the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trample thus could pad the dank soil to a plash? Toads in a poison tank, or wildcats in a red-hot iron cage? The fight must so have seemed in that fell cirque. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footprint leading to the horrid mews. None out of it. Mad brewerage set to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves the Turk pits for his pastime Christians against the Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel or brake? Not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk with all the air of the Tophet's tool on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came a bit of stubbed ground, once a wood, next a march, it would seem, and now mere earth, desperate and done with. So a fool finds mirth, makes a thing, and then mars it, till his mood changes, and off he goes within a rood. Bog, clay, and rubble, sand, and stark black dearth. Now blotches rankling, coloured gay and grim, now patches where some leanness of the soils broke into moss of substance like boils. Then came some palsied oak, a cleft in him, like a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recalls. And just as far as ever from the end, not in the distance but the evening, not to point my footstep further at the thought, a great black bird, Apollyon's bosom friend, sailed past, nor beat his wide-winged dragon panned, that brushed my cap, perchance the guide I sought. For looking up, aware I somehow grew, spite of the dusk, the plain had given place all round to mountains with such name to grace, mere ugly heights and heaps, now stolen in view. How thus they had surprised me, salve it, you! How to get from them was no clearer case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief happened to me, God knows when. In a bad dream, perhaps, here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one time more came a click, as when a trap shuts you inside the den. Burningly it came on me all at once, this was the place. Those two hills on the right crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left a tall scalped mountain dunce dottered a-dozing at the very nonce, after a life spent training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret, blind as the fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest's mocking elf points to the shipman thus, and unseen shelf he strikes on only when the timbers start. Not see because of night, perhaps. Why, day came back again, for that before it left the dying sunset kindled through a cleft. The hills, like giants at a hunting, lay, chin upon hand, to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere, it told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears of all the lost adventures of my peers. How such a one was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old lost one moment, kneeled the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillsides, met to view the last of me, a living frame for one more picture in a sheet of flame. I saw them and I knew them all, and yet, dauntless, the slughorn to my lips I set and blew. Childe Roland to the dark tower came.